My name is Michael Bauer, and today we have gathered to remember the life of Frederick Beau Strachan, known to everyone as Beau, who passed away on the 25th of August at the remarkable age of 100. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge all of those who couldn't be with us today because of current circumstances, but that are joining us via the live stream. We know your thoughts are with us, and we send our love to you. Beau was born in 1921, a century ago. He shared his birth year with the likes of Peter Ustinov, Sugar Ray Robinson, Nancy Reagan, Harry Secombe, Charles Bronson, and Prince Philip. It was the year that the first baseball game was ever broadcast on radio, and the famous perfume Chanel No. 5 was first released. He would have seen some amazing things in his lifetime, things that we can't even begin to imagine, from the Great Depression to the Second World War. Today we remember an amazing lifetime, and there's so many memories left behind by this wonderful man. And now I'd like to deliver the eulogy on behalf of Beau's family, written by Steve. These are Steve's words. Somehow these dates have a nice ring to them. 100 years, and in cricketing parlance, Dad's first ton. Well done, Dad. He was affectionately known as Beau. I asked him where the nickname came from, and he laughed and said, probably to do with Beau Brummel, as I used to wear a cravat. You younger people can Google Beau Brummel and possibly cravat. Dad was born in Texas, Queensland on the 29th of July 1921 and grew up on a large sheep property in Bonshaw, northwest New South Wales. Here he loved farm life, riding his favourite horse, and cricket. Beau was one of 3 children to Frederick, Poppy, and Edith, Nana Strachan. The other 2 siblings being Joan and Betty. I understand from a reliable source that Dad was thoroughly spoilt by his 2 sisters and Nana. Thus, he was always spruced up and well decked out. Probably a reason he was able to snaffle Mum. Dad and Mum's eyes met across the dance floor at the town hall in Texas. It was love at first sight and the start of a 3-month whirlwind courtship, which ended in them eloping to Melbourne and getting married on the 25th of July, 1940. Dad was in the army at this stage and was promoted to sergeant and ended up training troops all over the country. Mum would follow Dad to wherever he was posted, and by that stage with Steve in tow. At war's end in 1945, they purchased a 3-acre property in Richmond, New South Wales, where they first set up house and home. Even though Dad subsequently had a number of moves, 59 Paget Street was really the spiritual home of the Strachan's. There he proceeded to set up a quality poultry farm where he was innovative and progressive. This was borne out by the number of prizes he received for his chooks and egg laying at the Hawkesbury Agricultural College and Hawkesbury shows. Dad was a typical bush carpenter and could turn his hand to anything. He always seemed to be adding to the home or building extra sheds. He built sheds all over the property to house his chooks. The farm was a menagerie including, at different times, chooks, horses, goats, cows, dogs, cats, and the odd black snake. The farm was a safe haven where young boys could get into mischief and run wild. We boys just loved it. Dad battled at times with the economies of farming, and after subdividing Paget Street, he moved to a 7-acre property at Castlereagh, which was a duck processing business. Following this, he moved to Forbes, also in New South Wales. Here he developed and subdivided 60 acres, which cleared him of any problems and set him up for his final purchase of Alimby, a 33-acre property on the outskirts of Crookwell, New South Wales. Alimbi in some respects was ideal for Dad. He completely improved the property, planted poplar trees along the driveway, fenced the acreage into paddocks, irrigated from a bore, as well as resurrecting old barns and building dams. He finally got his sheep and favourite dog Topsy, completing a full circle from sheep, the aberration of chooks and back to sheep. Dad was always a frustrated sheep farmer and was finally able to realise his dream of running sheep and developing fine wool. He was happy, and more especially, Mum was happy. Happy wife, happy life. As Mum's health deteriorated, Dad cared for her as well as maintaining the farm. He did need all his stamina to do both. There was an 8 years age difference between Mum and Dad, and one day I jokingly said to Mum, "I think you're a bit of a cougar." Mum laughed and said, "I made a great choice with no regrets." Mum passed peacefully away in early 2001. Dad was ambitious, willing to learn and ahead of his time, especially when it came to cricket. He took young teenage teams under his wing and they came to win finals from the third grade up, plus finally winning first grade, which had never been done before. He was the driving force in getting Hawkesbury into first grade cricket, as well as developing the sporting cricket complex in Benson's Lane. He even has a pavilion named after him. He was Mr. Cricket for years. As Dad plunged headlong into the politics of cricket, I reckon he learned a lot about himself, especially when it came to speeches. The speeches had developed a certain quality of depth and meaning pertaining to whatever subject. We in the family all became quite proud of the way he handled himself on his feet. He taught his 3 sons to play cricket. I think he felt lucky to have 3 boys rather than 3 girls, boys being easier to understand. The 3 boys became quite proficient in cricket in their own way because of Dad's input. Dad loved cricket, and as he was wont to tell, he was called the fastest thing in the northwest. His love of cricket grew where he used to play all over northwest country with bigger and older men. Having 3 sons enabled his cricket to flourish. He always backed us to the hilt, but with no favouritism. He must have gone through some terrible lows as his sons developed, but occasionally they did well, which gave him a lift. Dad was a leader of men, and this may have stemmed from his days in the army as a sergeant and trainer of men. I must admit he had a big voice at times. And so he was a captain of teams, president of Richmond Cricket Club and a representative of Hawkesbury District Association, of the Hawkesbury Cricket Council and New South Wales Cricket Association, as well as being involved in the Richmond Sporting Club Limited. When the cricketing summer arrived, Mum's dig at Dad would be, "Looks like I'm going to be a cricketing widow again." There are so many memories I'd like to share with you. Dad leaping on Toby the horse at 59 Paget Street, showing off his horsemanship and riding skills. Dad hitting a 6 at Richmond Oval, the ball landing in the main street and bouncing into the local cafe. Dad waiting behind the may hedge with peppercorn switch for sons coming home late. Michael flying down the driveway with Dad in hot pursuit. Stephen stoically accepting punishment, and Scott naturally missing out. Dad treating me like a leper after I pranged the car just a week before going overseas. Dad pumping car exhaust fumes into rat holes under chook sheds and groggy rats being chased by kids, dogs and adults. Crazy and hilarious. Dad building 2 concrete cricket pitches. Dad training Champ, a young Arab horse. Saddle slipped, horse panicked, broke away sending kids and chooks scattering everywhere. flattened young orange trees and shot up Londonderry Road for miles. Dad killing a big red belly black snake which we put in a cricket bag to frighten kids. Dad killing himself laughing when someone had to retrieve a cricket ball from the pen of an aggressive rooster. Dad loved a good yarn and a laugh, and with tears in his eyes he would become quite hysterical if the yarn tickled his fancy. I'd like to comment on the fact that after Mum passed away, Dad lived by himself for 20 years on the farm at Olimby, and apparently he was never lonely. This was a testament to his strength, resilience and determination to see out his life on the farm. On the many occasions I visited Crookwell, I found the people I met respected Dad and held him in high esteem, which I found very heartwarming. A wonderful man, a wonderful father who led a rich and varied life. Dad died peacefully on the 25th of August 2021 at the Fred Ward Gardens Nursing Home in Canberra. We will all miss you, Dad. Rest in peace. And now I'd like to invite Mary to come forward.
So I'm going to be reading for Michelle Potts, her loving memories. These are loving memories from Michelle. My earliest memories of Gramps are our visits to the farm in the 1970s. Dad would take David and I once a month to visit. The trip would take 4 hours from Canberra to Paget Street. I loved that when we got to the farm, we could just let our hair down, relax and play. It didn't matter how dirty or messy we got, it was time for fun. When I was a little older, maybe 7, I remember Gramps teaching me how to gut chickens. Because we lived in so many places as a child, my memories of the farm became the constant every child needs. In about 1979, we moved to Richmond. I had a horse called Midnight who had thrown a shoe, so I took him over to Gramps and he put the shoe back on. It was like there was nothing our Gramps couldn't make or fix if it was broken. Visiting him in Crookwell, I loved walking around the farm with him. Just listening to him talk engendered a love for him and the things that he loved. We'd talk about the dogs, the sheep, how much rain they'd had. He was always good for a chat. I loved watching him with our kids, his great-grandchildren. They loved him and he loved them. They would follow him around the farm and he seemed to have all the time in the world for them. We were so appreciative when Uncle Mick brought Gramps to our house in May of 2015, where he met his great-grandchildren. He has left behind such a huge legacy of family. We will miss him and we will be forever grateful for his life. Michelle Potts.
Thanks, Mary. And now I'd like to invite Heidi to come forward.
Hi, I'm Heidi. I'll be reading on behalf of Peter Strawn, Bosie's granddaughter. We are all so blessed to have a grandfather like you. We all got to grow up together on the farm, the whole family basically. Paget Street, Castlereagh, Forbes and Olimby Fullerton. Nornie and Bosie and Uncle Mick and family up one end and our family up the other end. What a life you created for all the opportunities to grow up on the country, in the bush with the king brown snakes. Ah, you were the boss of the land. I remember whenever we found a brown snake on our property, you would come full steam ahead and chase the brown snake back into the bush with the shovel. I couldn't believe it. I was scared for you, but you were not afraid. You would go further and beyond to protect us all. The roast dinners, Nornies, caramel fudge, yum yum. Our family get-togethers are unforgettable. You always made time to have fun and be playful with all of us in between running the farm. But when you were serious or mad, no one would say a word. No way, we wouldn't dare. You knew how to run a farm and 3 whole families beneath you. The whole family worked on the farm, and Mum and Dad and Uncle Mick worked hard by your side, all the way with you. Even us kids got out there and worked on the farm when times were tough in the chicken shed. Yes, I remember very well plucking and gutting chickens. I'm very skilled from learning by you, Bosie. I can pretty much fix anything around the house, in the yard. You taught us well. You taught us family first. You were always there for us all, any time. You even took Mum under your wing and treated her and loved her like your own daughter. I always loved being around you. Your energy was strong and calm and comforting, and you encouraged us all and made us feel like we could take on the world in our endeavours. I will miss sitting in front of the fireplace and just having a good old chat with you. So many more memories will live in us. Love you forever, Bosie. We will miss you so much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for everything. Your loving granddaughter, Peter.
Thanks, Heidi. Now I'd like to invite Garth O'Connell to come forward to say a few words.
Hello, my name is Garth O'Connell, and I am a curator at the Australian War Memorial, and I've also served in the Army with Ross. He's the husband, of course, of April, and I'm here today on her behalf. These are her words. I'd also like to pass on to the entire family my sincere and deep condolences as well. As a veteran myself, and also like to support you like any way. My dearest Bosie, my mentor, my idol, my courage. You were the soul to the family. You taught us courage, discipline, and showed us how to be strong. An amazing family man, supportive of everyone and their dreams. Bosie called me Stumpy, as long as I can remember. He would wake me up at the crack of dawn. Come on, Stumpy, where's my cup of tea? Even when Ross, my husband, visited the farm, he still came in at first light. Up you get, Stumpy. Ross, though he looked like Einstein that morning, and still asked why we were woken up by Einstein and not the chickens. I was like, it's a sheep farm. He then went on to ask Mum the same question. Mum's reply was along the lines of, what chickens? It's a sheep farm. To this day, Ross is disappointed that Bosie didn't have chickens, considering he was once a poultry farmer. It just doesn't make sense to him. I remember when I was 12, when my cousin Luke and I took all my savings from my Dolomite account and bought a stock whip and an Akubra hat. Needless to say, I was allowed to keep the hat and not the whip. He taught me how to crack it and train the sheep. And for as long as I can remember, he used that whip, and I always felt a sense of pride. About the same age, again, Luke and we went to Sydney and found an army disposal shop where we bought my first pair of army boots. Some of the best times I spent with Bosie was when we would sit down and spit polish our boots together. He would say, your boots must always look shiny. You should be able to see your face in them. As kids would always get up to no good on the farm, somehow Bosie always knew. He would be at the back of the farm, I was sure. Next minute, he was right behind us, banging our heads together and giving us a talking to. Well, a loud talking to. He had a sixth sense and knew exactly what we were up to. Later in life, I followed in Bosey's footsteps and joined the army. It had always been a dream of mine and finally found the courage to do it. Bosey never really spoke of his time in the army. However, since joining, Bosey opened up to myself and Ross, and we got to hear some of his stories of his time spent serving our country. Ross loves telling the story of how Bosey dodged a bullet, literally. For those that don't know the story, Bosey was sitting in his chair at the farm, and Ross was on the ottoman. They were just chewing the fat when the story came out. Ross even called him Sarge. Turns out Bosey was on the boat to take his place on the Kokoda track when the war in the Pacific ended. The boat turned around and headed home, hence dodging the bullet. There are many fond memories from the farm, so many I could write a book, but for now I leave you with these few. Rest in peace, Bosey. Love from April and Ross.
Thank you, Garth and April and Ross. Now I'd like to invite Hannah to come forward.
My darling Bose, firstly I would like to acknowledge your 3 sons that you raised. 2 of them are here with us now. 1 of them you flew to a better place with. My 5 siblings and I are truly grateful for the wonderful, resilient and selfless father who raised us all, your son, Michael. I believe his strength, love and resilience was certainly a trait handed down by you. My fondest memories of you were at night time after myself and my younger siblings were all bathed and ready for bed, usually after a great day of proper, good, honest fun on your farm at Castlereagh, which we all fondly refer to as the duck farm. You would like us to sit down the line and jump on your knee when our time came up so that you could comb our freshly shampooed hair and kiss us goodnight. I remember your big smile, the warmth and love we received through this small act, particularly in times of uncertainty for us. Thank you for taking us in. You used to call me Hanny Who, What Do You Do, or Hanrahan, which my beloved Uncle Scott also referred to me as. We are truly lucky to have grown up being able to get our hands dirty and to play outside in the fresh air on your farm. You had such a warm and gentle presence, yet I also remember your strong voice and manner when you were out on the farm rounding your sheep up, or watching TV, not agreeing with something you were listening to. Words cannot express how proud I am to be a Strawn, a descendant of yours, and to be your granddaughter. I'm so lucky to have such a wonderful large family of Strawns, and as we all go through these sad times apart, we have also been brought together and are comforting each other from afar, which is a true example of family. I feel very grateful and lucky to have been able to come and see you at your beautiful farm, Alimbi, whenever I was able to. I will never forget how lovely it was sitting in your lounge room with the fire going and watching you gaze out your big window, the beautiful bright pink camellias and mostly a bright blue sky. What was most precious, though, was always you were so deep in thought. I often wondered what you were thinking about. I always felt so safe and warm in that lounge room with you, and it was always hard to leave. I don't think there is a place I will ever feel so relaxed. I would treasure these memories for the rest of my life. Bose, when Dad told me you were coming to Canberra, selfishly I was filled with joy. I knew that this was sad, that you tried very hard to stay as long as you could on your farm. However, coming to see you in the nursing home was so special and brought me so much joy. I loved having you so close, holding your hand and looking into your eyes, making you cups of tea just like we always did at Fullerton, and always getting you a big plate of biscuits from the kitchen. You always had such a sweet tooth, and I was glad I could bring you Lindt chocolates and watch you enjoy them. I'm truly grateful to have celebrated your 100th birthday with you. There was one memory that really stuck in my mind, and that made me giggle. I handed you a glass of wine, and you drank the entirety of it quicker than I drank mine. You're probably sitting there wondering why we're all making such a fuss, something you never did. Bose, 100 years. You are amazing. I will take these beautiful memories of you and your eyes and your hands and your warm smile with me forever, and particularly through these hard times that we are faced with and we will certainly be faced with again throughout our lives. You were and always will be such a handsome gentleman, an amazing father, husband, and of course, grandfather. I hope to take your great strength and resilience with me throughout this journey called life, and I look forward to seeing you at the other side. I loved you then, I love you now, I will love you forever. I miss you dearly, but I'm safe and sound in the knowledge that you left this world for the next one because you were finally ready. I also believe you followed your darling youngest son. In closing, I'd just like to read a poem that I came across recently, and I hope that it brings comfort to my family like it did to me. It's written by John Rodell. I miss you. I'm right here next to you. But I can't see you. Then close your eyes and feel me. Oh, there you are. Here I am. Your beloved, they aren't gone, they are right here. It's just that they have changed forms. It's just that they were the lake that eventually became the rolling thunderhead. It's just that they were the seed that eventually became the lush apple tree. It's just that they were the fistful of wet clay that eventually became the cup of eternity. Your beloved, they aren't gone. They are right here, and they're holding you as you tremble. And they're dancing in the swirling galaxies of tears that are forming in your eyes. And they're whispering your name softly between the silent gaps of your thumping heartbeat. And they're gently blowing on the hairs that are rising on your arms right now. Your beloved, they aren't gone. They are right here. And they know that you love them still and forever. Because love is an endless string of warm, sunlit memories tied between two people. Because love is a circle drawn on the wall of time in permanent red marker. Because love is the act of holding hands with another person and counting to infinity by twos. Your beloved, they aren't gone. They are right here, and they are leaving notes for you everywhere that over and over in 100 million different ways say the exact same thing. We have not been separated. We have not been separated. Your beloved, they aren't gone. They are right here, and they want to tell you something. They are so proud of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah. And now I'd like to invite Mary to come forward.
When I first heard of my grandfather's sudden death after hearing of his son's passing only hours before, I went into shock, and my heart broke again. I was with Dad, and when we got the news, I had an angry reaction. Mum told me this poem, and it helped and gave me strength. Break, 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 on thy cold grey stones, O sea, and I would that my tongue could utter the thoughts that arise in me. Oh, well for the fisherman's boy, that he shouts with his sister at play. Oh, well for the sailor lad, that he sings in his boat on the bay. And the stately ships go on to their haven under the hill. But oh, for the touch of a vanished hand, and the sound of a voice that is still. Break, 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 at the foot of thy crags, O sea, but the tender grace of a day that is dead will never come back to me. The last few days I visited Bosie in the nursing home were great. He didn't like being in the nursing home so much, but he liked his visits from us, his family, his cup of teas, his lint chockies, his money in the bank, his new watch. He was a beautiful man, and I'm sorry we didn't get to spend more time with him before he left.
Thanks, Mary. And now, Heidi, would you like to come forward?
My dearest grandfather Bosie, you have always been a grounding and constant presence in my life. You were a hero of mine. I always looked up to you for your work ethic and the way you were so capable of getting things done. You and Nornie took my family in many times during Mum and Dad's, shall we call it, rather tumultuous relationship with many ups and downs. It can't have been easy on you both, but I never recall you becoming angry or resentful, not that I can remember. I only remember you as a loving and caring grandfather. When Luke and I lived with you in Paget Street, I know I was a rather devious little girl. Every night, being put to bed, I would sneak out and hide behind your chair and try and watch television. You always knew I was there. Sometimes I could stay, but sometimes I was sent running to my room with that very stern and loud voice that I'm sure we can all recall. I remember watching the Sullivans and Tony Barber's Sale of the Century with you and Nornie in the big cosy lounge room. One time I also tried to run away at night. I must have been about 8. I remember not getting far if it was dark and I became afraid. When I returned, you were waiting behind the door. Boy, did I get a hiding. But I know that you were probably concerned. But I was a pretty sneaky little girl. I remember when we lived at the farm at Castlereagh, and as a teenager I would get bronchitis often. I would cough all night, and you would always come in during the late or early hours of the morning to give me a glass of warm water to help settle my cough. This always seemed to work, and I remember you seemed very caring during these times. I also remember you would always come into the kitchen and sing Sadie the cleaning lady to me. And you on the phone every night trying to get things done, whether it was for cricket or for the council, I don't really know, but you definitely fought for what you believed in and thought was right. Dad called you a quiet achiever, never giving up. There are many memories of you, Bosie, but I would just mention the last times I saw you in the nursing home. I noticed your eyes for the first time, as all my life you seemed to have glasses on. I noticed a pair of very beautiful, lively and bright blue eyes with a twinkle in them. They were smiling eyes and a lovely shape. I am deeply sad. I'm deeply sad you have left us, but you will always be in my heart and memories. And I am so very proud to have been your granddaughter, as you know that you were a bit of a legend. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. And now I'd like to invite Michael to come forward.
Well, Dad, 100 years, a terrific achievement, done with generosity and kindness. I remember you as sorry. You might have saved a day there. I remember you as a loving father, a faithful and caring husband, always there for his 3 sons and their families, kind and forgiving, and there was plenty to be forgiven for. Dad was always fair but didn't like any disrespect. I remember being a bit of a smart aleck when I was a young boy. One day you pretended to call my Uncle Miles to say you had cancelled my holiday. I saw you had your hand on the phone receiver the whole time. When you finished your pretend call, I said, no, you didn't call. Well, that was it. You know about that peppercorn switching? Well, I knew about that. Well, I could go on so many things, but really, I want to remember our cups of tea, Gabe's cup of tea, and you always watching the trees and clouds out that big lounge window at Crookwell. Rest in peace, Dad, your loving son.
Thank you, Michael. Now I'd like to invite Sammy to come forward.
great-great-grandson, Sam. Here you go.
Hello everyone, my name is Sam and today I will be doing a short reflection on Beau Strachan, my great-grandfather. Beau was a very quiet and humble person with lots of love in him and he really enjoyed his home. Here are some memories. I remember going out with him on his ute and throwing food out the back for the sheep. I also remember him taking me out with his 2 dogs and rounding up the sheep. And lastly, I remember Beau taking me for joyrides around the farm. We both loved it. Thank you.
Well done, Sam. And now I'd like to invite Isabella to come forward.
Oh Come Quickly by Thomas Campion. Never weather-beaten sail more willing bent to shore. Never tired pilgrim's limbs affected slumber more. Then my wearied soul now longs to fly out of my troubled breast. O come quickly, sweetest Lord, and take my soul to rest. Ever blooming are the joys of heaven's high paradise. Cold age deafs not there our ears, nor vapour dims our eyes. Glory there the sun outshines, whose beams the blessed only see. O come quickly, glorious Lord, and raise my soul to thee.
Thank you, Isabella. We're now going to take a few moments for quiet reflection as we look back at Beau's life.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shake hands, saying how do you do. Saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I ever knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful
Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. birds singing in the sycamore trees. Dream a little dream of me. Say nighty-night and kiss me. Just hold me tight and tell me you'll miss me while I'm alone and blue as can be. Dream a little dream of me. Stars fading, but I linger on, dear, still craving your kiss. I'm longing to linger till dawn, dear, just saying this. Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me. Stars fading, but I linger on, dear, still craving your kiss. I'm longing to linger till dawn, dear, just saying this. Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me. Dream a little dream of me. Dream a little dream of me.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is mighty.
Oh, hush, little baby, don't you cry. You know
She doesn't want to come out, Buzz.
bound to die. But all my trials, Lord, soon be over.
I now invite you to join me in the Lord's Prayer, followed by the 23rd Psalm. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That brings us towards the end of our service. On behalf of Bo's family, I thank you for your attendance here and online. And now we must say farewell. Bo, you've given those who knew you a lifetime of memories. We now say farewell and send you on your final journey. You will always be remembered. Rest in peace, Bo.
I return to the fields of glory, where the green grass and flowers grow, and the wind softly sings the story of the brave lads of long ago. March no more, my soldier laddie, there is peace where there once was war. Sleep in peace, my soldier laddie, sleep in peace, now the battle's o'er. In the great glen they lie a-sleeping, where the cool waters gently flow, and the grey mist is sadly weeping for those brave lads of long ago. March no more, my soldier laddie, there is peace where there once was war. Sleep in peace, my soldier laddie, sleep in peace, now the battle's o'er. See the tall grasses there a-waving as their banners of long ago. With their heads high were forward braving, stepping lightly to meet the foe. March no more, my soldier laddie, there is peace where there once was war. Sleep in peace, my soldier laddie, sleep in peace, now the battle's o'er. Some return from the fields of glory to their loved ones who held them dear, but some fell in their hour of glory and were left to their resting here. March no more, my soldier laddie, there is peace where there once was war. Sleep in peace, my soldier laddie, sleep in peace, now the battle's o'er. March no more, my soldier laddie, there is peace where there once was war. Sleep in peace, my soldier laddie, Sleep in peace, now